Being a postgraduate, it's scary. I think about, should I have gone to grad school? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maya. If you're new here, if you're not new, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what life is like after you graduate. So post-grad life. I got my degree back in winter of 2024. So that was literally just last year in March. I walked in June, and I'm just going to give you guys like the realistic rundown of what goes on after college. So yeah, we're just going to get into that. So I'm gonna talk about what finding a job was like after I graduated, what my social status was like, so like the relationships that I had with friends, my living situation, my finances, all that good stuff, because I feel like it's just not talked about realistically on social media, and it's really discouraging to see when people seem to be doing way better than you after college versus like however you feel where you're at. Sometimes you're not always going to be happy with the place you're at, but it's totally fine. You just graduated, so give yourself some grace. Give yourself a round of applause, because that is one of the hardest things to do. I personally did not graduate within the 4 years. I was supposed to graduate back in like 2023, I believe, but it didn't happen. I graduated, instead of 2023 June, I graduated in 2024 March. So let's just get into the video. So to start off, this video isn't really going to be like my journey through college, but I will give you guys a little bit of a backstory of how I got from the start to the finish. So I started in fall of 2019. That was like basically right before COVID happened. I kind of struggled throughout college, which is why I graduated a little bit later than some of my old friends did. But I think overall it was a great experience. COVID kind of rocked my shit a little bit, but I made it. It's fine. I'm gonna say that I feel like I did not take advantage of all of the resources that were out there, like internships. I didn't know getting an internship was pretty much necessary for you to land a job right after college. That's just me. I didn't really know that until like the end of my junior year, but it is what it is. I actually still get like email notifications regarding internship opportunities for people who are still going to university. Unfortunately, I no longer qualify for those, but it's just really nice to see that they're really pushing that out now. But I didn't have those opportunities. That just made it a little bit more difficult for me to find a job after I graduated. So when I graduated, I was still fortunate enough to be able to work the student job that I had. I'm not really sure exactly how that worked. I was working for the aerospace department on my campus. I was basically like the student front desk worker. It was really fun. I enjoyed my time there. My old friend actually got me a connection, which is how I got that job. But I think it was also my resume experience. I had always had a job since I was like 17 years old. So I had a lot of customer service experience, which really helped me. I was constantly adding to my resume, making sure that I kept it up to date. That is really important. You should always be going through your resume like every 6 months to a year, just to make sure that it's updated and the information is relevant. So like I said before, I was very fortunate to still be able to work my student position after I graduated. Now what the department had to do in order to keep me was to create a whole new position. They didn't have to do that, but I was very grateful that they did, because it allowed me to stay a little bit longer so I could find my big girl job and really get my career started. Now, I did graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree in real estate. I am not using my degree right now. It honestly breaks my heart, because it's something that I really wanted to do. This is one of those things where I did not research enough into my career and to know that I needed a certain amount of money just to get started. That is absolutely insane to me. But for real estate, depending on what you do, you either need the experience or you need the money to like get your real estate license and be able to start practicing that. I did not have that money. Also, when I graduated in 2023, I had roommates, and because they were graduating, we all had to move out. So basically I went from paying like $500 and something a month to $1,350 a month. That was a huge jump. I also had to pay my own utilities on my own. So it's closer to like maybe $1,500 a month. And my student job was not it was not going to support that. Thankfully, I had savings, but I just couldn't get started in my intended career. I'm still saving up for that, and I have like a good chunk of money set aside, but now that I have my real estate license money ready, I need to be able to save up so I have at least like 3 to 4 months of expenses just in case I don't make a sale for like a couple of months. I won't be getting income, so it's just very important to make sure that financially you're set up as well. But back to the job search. I was very, 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 very persistent. I knew I had all this customer service experience under my belt. My resume was looking great for that. So I decided I'm gonna see if there are job positions at my university. I'm just gonna look. Every day I was scrolling through the jobs so I could find like a customer service position, like a front desk person, anything of that nature. I was very, very persistent, and I was always applying to jobs, checking through the job descriptions, tailoring my resume, and then pressing send. A little note for your resume: look at the job description and use the same language if it applies to you, because they use filters on your resume to make sure that it matches up. Now, out of all the jobs that I applied to at my university, I only got 2 interviews. The first one was for basically the exact same position that I was in as a student worker. I applied and I got an interview. They did not select me. I was very heartbroken, but it is what it is. But I was just kind of like, you know what? Oh well. I started to branch out to things outside of my university. So like working at a grocery store, gyms, things of that nature, because I was like, I have customer service experience. I need to find something quick because my savings is running out and I cannot keep using savings for my living expenses. That was just the reality. I was panicking a little bit, but then fortunately I did get an email from another position that I applied to wanting an interview. And that was like the thing that I needed so bad. I was so happy and ecstatic. I was like running around screaming. It was great. Now here's the thing. I got a follow-up email like a week or so after saying that the position had basically been canceled or whatever. So basically they were no longer hiring for that position. No, it was not filled. They just halted the hiring process. So then I was back to square one of applying and doing interviews. I did actually get an interview at a grocery store. They were willing to offer me the job, but it was part-time. But then I had another interview it was at a gym, who really wanted to hire me. But around that time, the original position came back and said they would like to move forward with an interview. And I did my Zumba interview, waited a while, and I got the job. So I had to cancel my other 2 employment opportunities. They were very good for what they were, but I knew that working at the university would look so much better on my resume and it would open so many more doors than it would working at a grocery store or at a gym. So that's how I got the job I got. I also used a friend as a reference, my old manager as a reference, and then I think someone else from the department. So yeah, having people in your back pocket who are willing to vouch for you is really important. It's very hard, especially being in college, because you're like, I'm an adult. I can talk to whoever I want. I don't necessarily need to build connections with staff or faculty. Don't do that. You need to actually be building those relations, because if you don't, it's going to be so much harder after college when you're applying to jobs, because they want references. Everyone wants references. That's just how it is. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all about the day-to-day of working. So I went from being a full-time student and working part-time to just working full-time. It has been the biggest adjustment in my life so far. I'm still not used to working full-time, because I work from 8 to 5. And that just takes up my entire day. I have to plan everything I do around work, the people I see, being around my family, friends, relationships, even like going to the doctors, even going to the bank. So my bank, they are only open from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. They're not open on the weekends. It's a huge adjustment. And it's like work is the priority. It becomes the priority of your life. And I don't like that. I'm struggling with it so much. And I just feel like we in the world as humans have built something that is so unnatural. It goes against how we're supposed to live naturally. Like, having all these things like electronics, having phones, movies, all that jazz, it's nice, but I feel like we've progressed too far, a little too far beyond what we are supposed to live like naturally. Another thing that I have noticed is that when you're working full-time, you're no longer a student, and a lot of the time, nobody's really gonna guide you the way that they did when you were still a student. So the training that I went through for my job, it was like, yeah, they gave me a little bit of training and the rundown of most of the things, but most of it, outside of that, like figuring out how to do it was up to me. And that was really scary, and I just felt like, I really felt like a worker and not a person, if that makes sense. I'm not saying they treat me bad, but it's just like, you just feel like you're a part of a machine, okay? I don't know, maybe I'm just not meant to be a working girly. That's like, it's just a really hard adjustment to get through, especially thinking about all the things I would have been able to do if working full-time was not my priority or it wasn't a requirement. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the social relationships that come with being a post-grad. When I graduated, it was after my friends had graduated, and I would say that our friendship dwindled. I don't really feel a friendship there anymore. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, it is true what people say, when you get older, you kind of drift apart as a friend group. I had a friend group and it's definitely drifted. I don't feel close with any of them anymore. There isn't really communication there. Like, yes, we have each other on Instagram, but that's pretty much it. It's not like I've blocked anybody's number or anything like that, but it's just like those relationships that you built after college, and because you're not living together, if you really want that friendship, you have to put in the work. It honestly feels like a relationship. You have to put in the work to keep in communication, make sure you see each other, make sure you're checking in, all of those things, because if not, it's like you just drift apart until there's nothing there anymore. And I know a lot of people tend to think, oh, I don't want to bother this person because, you know, they're busy with their own life, but everybody's busy. Someone has to take that step. And usually if you're thinking, oh, they'll do it, that means that you were supposed to do it. You were supposed to be reaching out, but that's only if you want to. It can be very challenging to maintain those college friendships, especially post-grad when you're just trying to figure things out for the first time for real. I know people say like going to college, you're just now figuring things out as an adult. No, it doesn't really start until after you graduate college, because when you're in college, you have structure. You know what you're supposed to be doing. You know which classes you're supposed to be taking, what the assignments are, when you're supposed to be back in your dorm, all of that. But as an adult outside of college, no one's telling you what to do. Going to work is optional. If you don't go to work, you're fired. You lose the money, and then you're at risk of not paying your rent and being homeless and not having your bills paid, your credit score dropping, all of that stuff. It's just so much scarier. There's so much more pressure, and there's no guideline, no book, no tutorial on how to do it. It's very scary, and that's just really been my personal feelings towards it, and like how I've been trying to handle things. I've been trying to juggle everything, and it's so overwhelming. Like, I think back to like when my mom was my age. When she was my age, she had 3 kids and she was married. Keep in mind, she didn't go to college, but like, how, if I can barely do this adulting thing on my own without kids, how could she have done that? I don't know. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the impact that social media has on me specifically as a post-grad, because I will see people posting how they have a 6-figure job right after college, or I'll see people traveling the world or going on vacations, people getting married, having kids, and it's confusing to me, honestly, because I wonder, how did you get there? Being a college graduate, how did you know where to go from there? Because like I said before, there's no guideline on how to adult after college. There really isn't. Like, the expectation is that once you graduate, you find a job. That's pretty much the only expectation that there is. There isn't really like how to progress within that job, how to switch career paths, none of that. And it's a really scary feeling. It feels like it honestly feels like I'm alone, even though I know I'm not alone. Because it's like I've seen people on TikTok or Instagram talking about how they feel alone and they just don't know where to go from wherever they're at. That's how I feel. And you feel like that a lot. I'm honestly like, I'm only 23 and I don't think that feeling ever really goes away. I think maybe it's not as severe as when you're younger, but I do feel like it's a lingering feeling because there's no there's no set guideline, there's no book on it, like there's no direction. Nobody really knows what the direction should be. In addition to like comparing where I'm at to other people on social media, the amount of time that I spend on social media because I've felt too tired after work to go do something else is absolutely insane. I have noticed that since I've graduated, I'm pretty much on my phone most of the time unless I'm cleaning my apartment, tending to my pets, spending time with my boyfriend or family, or driving. Like, that's pretty much most of my time, my free time at least. What I did to combat that is I started thinking back to all of the things that I used to enjoy when I was younger, specifically drawing. I used to love drawing. I don't remember exactly why I stopped, but I decided I'm gonna buy a sketchbook and some pencils and I'm gonna start drawing. I started that like a few weeks ago. No, I'm not consistent. It's more of like when I'm in the mood to do it, just so it gives me something to do. It brings me joy and I absolutely love it. I'll put on my headphones, I'll find an inspiration pic off of Pinterest, and then I'll just go to town. It's so fun, honestly, and I think a lot of people forget all the things that used to bring them joy, or sometimes things that used to bring you joy just don't hit that hard anymore. But you kind of just have to force yourself and push yourself to get out of that comfort zone and just go for it. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck in the same routine, going to work, coming home, eating, and being on your phone. It's very unhealthy, and I feel like you don't really gain much from doing that. I've also started going to the gym. This is a really important one because it's like when you start working, you are absolutely exhausted. It doesn't matter if you're working a physical job or a desk job. You're tired mentally and a little bit physically. You feel like you've just lost most of your day and you're really not being active because you just want to lay down and rest. It's totally understandable to want to rest, but you also need to make sure that your body is getting the proper care, aka exercise and diet, but exercise, because a lot of people are not moving as much as they should, which unfortunately comes with working full time. But you need to be moving your body to make sure that your muscles they still have movement, because I personally have arthritis, so I need to make sure that I'm moving my body more just so that when I'm older I won't have that physical pain, if that makes sense. Like, it won't be harder for me to do like basic things like walking, lifting things, just things of that nature. I just want to make sure that my body is active while I'm young so that it'll be easier when I'm older. This is just part of my self-care, and it's honestly been so amazing. It's actually been really helpful for my mental health, just taking an hour out of my day after work to go to a gym. It's better if you don't do like gym classes, because I feel like those tend to be during the regular 9 to 5 work hours, if that makes sense. I'm not necessarily on like a weight loss journey. It's just more to like get me a little active, because honestly, no, I have gained a bit of weight because I haven't been moving enough, but it's not like I want to change my body drastically. It's just me wanting to get rid of like the french fry weight that I've been gaining since I've started working here. But also just like keeping active, moving my body, and just being healthy overall is something that I really want to keep doing. Okay, now it's time to get into the financial part of being a post-grad. So I graduated with $7,500 in debt. So that's $7,500 for my student loans. I wish I had started paying them off while I was still in school, just so that they wouldn't be so high. The interest didn't start until after I graduated, thank God. But it's still a crazy amount, because what I get paid at my current job, it's enough to cover like my living expenses, but it's not enough for me to build savings. So if I really wanted to knock out my student loans faster, I would have to pick up a second job. I'm just not ready to do that yet. I at least want 1 year to see what I want to do before I decide to pick up a second job. But yeah, so I had $7,500 in student debt that I have been paying down. I have a little bit of credit card debt. It's just like what, $1,500 in credit card debt, and making sure that you keep your finances straight is a very, very, very important thing. It is very easy to spiral into debt. I felt myself slipping up a little bit, and I was like, oh no, we gotta get it together. So what I've been doing is I've been going through my expenses, jotting them down, adding them up, making sure like I have enough for those expenses, like the essentials. So that's rent, food, my phone, car insurance, utilities, things of that nature. Like those are wants. No, those are needs, okay? Those are life expenses. And then on the other side of that, I have been tallying up where my spending is going, like where all my money is going. I have realized that I had a lot of student discounts that I was taking advantage of, but I did not realize that once I graduated, those discounts would be no more. So I have gotten rid of a lot of my streaming services, or I'm sharing them in exchange for another streaming service from like a family member or friend. That's what I've been doing. I cut back on unnecessary things. And I also realized that I have a lot of junk that I've just been buying over the years that I just don't need. So when I think about purchasing something, I really like think about it. Do I need this? Is this really going to help me in the long run? Am I really going to like it? Is this going to be something I'm going to use like every day? That's how I have to think about it. I also have to think, if I were to pack up and move, I think about all the stuff that I would have to pack. And me adding one extra thing because I thought it was cute in the time is just gonna make me mad. So I'm trying to get rid of things at the same time as cutting back on my expenses. Eating out is probably my biggest, that's my biggest off, honestly. I love eating out, but I know that I can't afford to do that all the time. So I have gotten a Costco membership with my boyfriend, and we kind of just go and get the staples. I also just wanted to add this point. When you graduate, please, 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 please do not expect to get a really high job offer. Sometimes you're gonna get an offer where you cannot negotiate the salary. That's the position that I was in. But I looked at it, and the salary that they offered me was way more than minimum wage, and it did cover my living expenses. So I decided that would be the best option for me right now. Like that's literally the only option I have to go with. So please, please, please do not expect like a 6-figure job offer, especially if the field you're going into, if it's not even realistic within that field. Beggars can't be choosers all the time. So just keep that part in mind. Emotionally, I just feel lost and scared all of the time. I've had so many breakdowns since I've graduated because I just feel like I don't know where to go from here. Like the expectations of when I was younger from my family was to basically not get pregnant young, make sure you get good grades, go to college, graduate, and get a job. And then stay out of trouble basically. But those were like the only expectations that my family had for me. And like being like, I don't know, being a child, when you hear your family, like older family members say that, it's like you listen, you have some sort of guidance. But after that, it's like, I don't know where to go from here. The guidance doesn't really continue because not everyone has gone beyond that point, if that makes sense. But it's just, I don't know. Being a postgraduate, it's scary. I think about, should I have gone to grad school? Should I have not chosen the real estate career that I wanted when I was younger? Should I have gone through something else? Should I have worked harder? You really just start to question the amount of work you put in, whether or not you're doing things correctly, if this is where you should be, if you should be talking to someone about this. But it's honestly like everyone is confused. Everyone is lost. There's no set pathway. There's no necessarily right or wrong path that you can take. It's very much just up to you. I've learned that no matter how many backup plans I make, life is just gonna life. Like I had 3 different plans, and every time one of them failed, I would just freak out. Like I didn't know where to go from here. I would call my Nana and like vent to her about it. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I feel like I'm just not doing things right. And I realized that it's normal because I'm living for the first time as an adult. Like, this is my first time. It's like being a baby all over again, except for you're more conscious and you know more words and you're just a little bit smarter. That's honestly what it's like. It's like being reborn, but you're an adult this time. It's scary, but I do have more hope for the future just because I've lived a little bit longer. And I've seen the fruits of my labor. Like, I've seen some of my stuff paying off, like my hard work. Like, a lot of my hard work has been paying off. My student debt is going down. I'm able to put a little bit of my money towards savings. You know, I'm healthy. I always have food. My lights are always on. I'm housed. Like, I can be in a much worse position. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't want more than what you currently have, but I am saying give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace because you've honestly done a lot. You spent, what, at least 4 years of your life not getting paid to learn. Like, that's a lot of your time. It's a lot of your youth. But you put in the work and you got something out of it. And you haven't given up and you're continuing. So yeah, I mean, like, honestly, again, round of applause for you if you have graduated university, if you've graduated a community college, if you've gone through a certification program. Like, congratulations, because it is hard work and not everybody can do it. And it's hard to see the light at the tunnel sometimes, but it's there. It's there. You may just have to shut it off and just keep going. But if that's what you need to do to keep going, just do it. But yeah, so that's honestly what life is kind of like being a post-grad. It's a lot of confusion. You're not going to always know where to go, but there always is somewhere to go. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.